Hello again. This is Pastor Deborah, and we're beginning another episode of Spiritual Babylon, the kingdom of darkness on earth. And this is going to be episode number 8. And we're going to talk about ancient patterns that came from the source of all patterns, the kingdom of heaven. But here on earth, what was supposed to happen got changed by an ancient serpent, an ancient archangel, who used to be called Lucifer, the son of the morning, the offspring of the first age. His heart got lifted up in pride, for he was a gorgeous and beautiful archangel. But he wanted all the glory and worship that was to pass through him and be given to his Creator, the King, the great I Am of heaven. Well, he didn't want to pass it on. He wanted it for himself. So his heart rebelled, lifted up in fire and pride, and he got cast out of the kingdom of heaven and sent as lightning to the earth. And the earth became a horrible place of flesh and death and sin and rebellion. And the consequences of sin, which is rebellion against the God of creation, is death. And then the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life came in to humanity itself through the help of this serpent, who now was named Satan, the spiritual adversary of God. And we're going to pick up where he was beginning to build his kingdom, the kingdom of darkness, through a family, and build its first city called Spiritual Babylon. And it was taken after the ancient pattern that was to happen through humanity's spirit from the unseen kingdom of heaven on earth. The earth was to be governed, the natural world, from a spiritual realm of a kingdom, the kingdom of heaven, of righteousness, truth, love, joy, and peace, through the spirit of a human, through the soul and physical body. The natural world was to understand this unseen realm of the kingdom of heaven. Well, that got all messed up through Satan. So Satan took the pattern for himself, the ancient pattern, and built it on the planet Earth with his demonic spirits, who were 1/3 of the angels and creatures in heaven who got cast down with Satan, with his tail, and then they were to build in the hearts of humanity this kingdom. At first, they just went nuts, bonkers, so to speak, and they defiled everything. And the God of creation had to bring a great flood and wipe out all creatures and all humans except one family called Noah and his 3 sons and 3 wives. Well, Satan got the message. He couldn't let his angels or himself just go completely nuts and crazy down here. So he started forming what was to be the ancient pattern that God had set for humanity. Build a kingdom, have rulers, have cities, have leadership and ministers, and Satan was going to be their God. And he was going to put his demonic spirits in everything, all of nature, all of creation, in human spirits, which was the ancient pattern. So we had been talking about that, how he was beginning, Satan, to build through the first family of Nimrod, Semiramis, and Tammuz. And what had happened was, Nimrod passed away, and Semiramis, his wife, gave birth to a son. And she said it was a supernatural creation, that a divine divinity overcame her, and Tammuz was created. And this was the pattern that was to come years later with a young girl named Mary and an angel. And a baby was to be impregnated in her that would be the Christ, the Son of the living God. The very word itself had come back. So Satan knew the pattern. He knew what was to happen, but he started ahead of time through this first family. And we're picking up where Satan was beginning to create an alternative seed, a son, Tammuz, and for all of humanity to worship it. He built statues. He built temples. He made people bow down to creatures, anything, because he was in everything. And he was going to get to worship without you knowing, without humanity knowing, you were worshiping Satan. He created religion for the soul and the physical body. So you would think in that level, because the spirit now had sunk down into the miry clay of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, the lust of the flesh, and the pride of life. It was encased with a foreskin, sort of speaking, that was waxed over with grossness. No light, no truth from the real kingdom of heaven could get in. It was in a deep, dark dungeon, so to speak. No light, in chains, bound and silent. So Satan took the soul, and it needed a religion, and it needed temples, and it needed a lot of things, so Satan went to work. And through this alternative religion, through these practices of the physical body and the soul, and keeping the spirit encased and trapped, Satan got glory. Satan was worshipped, even though humanity did not know it. Now, this was nothing new or hidden from the great God of creation, the great I Am. He knew this was happening, and he had a plan, and he was always working. Lucifer, who had become Satan, knew of all the patterns, knew all the plans that God had for humanity and the earth. And he remembered them from the ancient days when he was there. There was to be a father in heaven, and a mother was to be blessed, a queen. And so there was to be a king and a queen. And then a son, the seed, the savior of all humanity. Yet all of these creations, Nimrod, Samaras, and Tammuz, were Satan's creation. But Satan took the pattern and built a whole religious orientation, religious foundation for humanity. Here on earth and in the hearts of us, our soul, our biological brain, and even our spirit, from the soul, our soul would sort of pass through this information, so our spirits were believing what our soul was believing. And it was a partner, because they had been married a long time ago in the garden, the spirit and the soul. So the soul was passing to the spirit all these lies and deceptions. Now the spirit just went along with it, followed it wherever it went, and did whatever it was told. Yet all of this was Satan's creation, here on earth and in the hearts of humanity. For Satan knew that a seed, a son, a child, was coming after him one day to spiritually destroy his authority and dominion on the earth and in the hearts and spirit of humanity. So to prevent another one coming and doing this, Satan would create his own seed of his making. That would be this seed, this religion that Satan created. And it needed symbolic symbols, like earthly fire, which was a representation of the sun, the father of Tammuz. So when he had a fire, you would dance around it. You would worship the fire. You would light candles. One was worshiping this god, the fire, the sun god. And that was sort of the beginning. How did we learn about fire? Did God help us? Did angels help us? Did a lightning strike something? Remember, Satan knew what God was, and he took all of his patterns, his identity, his characteristics, gave them to humanity in all kinds of forms, but it was all in the natural world. the sun, the moon, the stars, fire, the water. And so Satan began his satanic kingdom of darkness from spiritual Babylon and the first family. Well, this started at this first city called Babylon. Well, God saw what was happening, and God had ordered all of humanity after the great flood to spread out over all the world. The animals did. But humanity was afraid of the animals and the tigers and the bears. And Nimrod told them, stay here. Let's build this high temple up to God, and we'll be safe. So they stayed together, and they went against God's command to spread out through all the nations and through all the earth. Well, God saw what they were doing in spiritual Babylon, and He saw what they were doing on the earth. One language, one city, one God, and this was all Satan's work. So what did God do? He came down, and He scrambled all their languages. He sort of created all the nations. So the people couldn't understand all the workers, and nobody could understand each other. But they slowly found people who spoke the same language. And that's what you get the word Babel from, which means confusion. So God confused the earthly language of humanity right there in Nimrod's great castle, spiritual Babylon. And so they started leaving the plains of Shinar, but they took with them all the patterns that Satan had taught them about fire and God and the seed and the sun and the first family and all the images, and they spread out over all the earth. And when all of humanity was scattered by God now for building a great tower through the confusion of language, we're going to hear about that story in Genesis 11, 1 through 9, out of the Authorized King James Bible. And we will pick that up in the next episode, because it's quite long, but it's so good. You got to go back and study humanity's beginnings. All religions have this, about the flood, about how did man spread out through all the earth. You ever want to know where all the languages came from? And who the forefathers were of all the people. There was only 3, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, the 3 children of Noah. All of the other humans on the planet had been killed in the great flood. Every ancient civilization has a story about the flood. Every ancient civilization has a story about man's beginning. So you have to go back and study ancient text, ancient history. You have to study to understand yourself, humanity, the earth, the unseen realm of the kingdom of darkness, and the kingdom of heaven. So in our next episode, we'll pick up with this story in Genesis 11, 1 through 9, about the great tower and how God scattered all of humanity through the confusion of languages. All right, I'll see you on the next episode of Spiritual Babylon, of the kingdom of darkness on earth and in the hearts of humanity. All right, this is Pastor Deborah. Bye-bye.